Your first wholesale deal, it's absolutely not gonna come from some guru course. It's gonna come from understanding 3 things about a property and of course moving faster than the guy right next. That is it. Most people starting out in the business in 2026, they're overthinking this for some reason. They're buying $2,000 courses, they're signing up for 5 different tools, and they still haven't even talked to a single client yet, which makes no sense whatsoever. I'm gonna break down the exact process I use to find, analyze, and of course, move in on these wholesale deals. There's gonna be no fluff, there's no theory, there's no mindset trick. By the end of this video, you're gonna know what a actual real deal looks like and how to spot one, but also how to analyze it in under a minute. And of course, how to have a buyer lined up before you even sign the contract. So let's get into it. What actually makes a property a wholesale deal? There's really only 3 things that actually matter when you're starting out. First thing, distressed. The property, it has a problem. It could be the condition, could be the owner's situation. We're talking about pre-foreclosures, code violations, tax delinquency, inheritance, or it's just vacant for months. The owner has a reason to sell below market. That's the main thing. Next, we're going to talk about absentee owner. That's where the owner doesn't even live in the property. They're either a landlord, an heir, or someone that moved out, or they just never sold overall. Emotionally detached from that house. That's what you want. Much easier conversation than someone that's trying to pull it out of their family house that they've had for generations. Next, high equity. The owner owns most, if not all, of the property just outright. If there's a $300,000 mortgage on a $310,000 house, there's no room to actually negotiate. High equity means you can offer 6 to 70 cents on the dollar, and then of course the deal makes sense for you and them. A property that hits all 3, that's a wholesale deal. 1 out of the 3, maybe. 2 out of the 3, that's absolutely worth making a call. Let's talk about how to find an off-market property without a budget. You don't need $400 a month on skip tracing tools just to start. That makes no sense. You need access to the actual data and the willingness, of course, to make the call. As much as we hate it, we gotta do it. The old ways would be driving for dollars, you pull county records, you grab a bunch of mailing lists, you print them out yourself. It still does work, but it's still slow. The new way, software. Pull these distressed absentee properties, high equity, listed in your market within seconds. The problem most beginners run into, having every single tool that gives you good data, but it costs $400 to $500 a month before you even made your first dollar. This is where the playing field has actually shifted in the whole game itself. You can actually access the same property data the experienced wholesalers use without paying that full stack that they have, but you might not. The free tier on PropQuest, it gives you the map search, the marketplace access, and the professional network from your phone with absolutely no credit card. You'll be able to pull a list of 50 to 100 properties in your target zip code that actually matches 3 of these signals. That's your week 1. How to analyze a deal fast enough to actually win it. If it takes you 45 minutes just to underwrite a property, the deal's already gone. Someone faster already locked it up. You just have to face that. You need 3 numbers extremely fast. First, your ARV. That's your after repair value. That's what the house sells for when it's fully renovated. Look at 3 to 5 comps within like a half-mile radius. They're sold for the last 6 months, similar size, bed and bath. Then your rehab estimate. This is a rough number. So light cosmetics, $15 to $25 per square feet. Medium cosmetic, $25 to $40. And a full gut, that's about $40 to $70 per square feet. You'll get sharper with these the more reps you do. Max offer, standard. The formula for this will be ARV times 70% minus that rehab of the whole wholesale deal. That's your ceiling. Here's an example math that you can kind of work as you go through these deals. If ARV is $300,000, rehab is $40,000, and you want a, let's say, $10,000 assignment fee, your max offer to that seller is $160,000. Anything below that, then you got a deal. This used to take a spreadsheet and an entire afternoon. AI underwriting on the platforms that have it can actually spit out this ARV, cap rate, rehab estimate in under a minute. Use the tools that actually exist right now. Don't reinvent the math. It's pointless. Hey, quick note. Everything that I'm walking you through, the property search, the AI underwriting, the buyer network, all of this is free on PropQuest. PropQuest AI. You already know, the link is below. Let's talk about building a buyer list before you even have a deal. Most new wholesalers, they do this completely backward. They lock up a contract, then they panic just to try to find a buyer within these next 14 days. Build the buyer's list first, even before your first deal. Here's 3 places you can actually find cash. 1, public records. Pull recent cash sales in your market. Those buyers, they're still active. Next would be real estate groups on Facebook or the local REIA meetups. Show up, ask who's buying and what they're looking for. Just keep it simple like that. Lastly, built-in investor networks on platforms that actually have them. This is where new wholesalers have an actual advantage in 2026 that they didn't have 5 years ago. I know that because I was doing it 5 years ago. For each buyer, list out what neighborhoods they want, what price range, what conditions, whether they want cash or hard money, and how fast they want to close. When you find a deal, you're not searching for the buyer. You're texting 3 different people who already told you the exact property that they want. This is why most beginner tools and stacks actually slow you down. New wholesalers, for some reason, they try to do it right. They end up with a property data tool, a skip tracing tool, a CRM, a contract tool, let's say a dialer, a spreadsheet, and they end up spending $400 to $700 a month before the deal even starts. Worse than the cost, none of these tools actually talk to each other. You skip trace a contact in one app, and then you export it to a CSV, then you import it finally into your CRM. You make a call, you just manually log it in your notes, you send a contract, and then you save it to a folder. This makes absolutely no sense. That's the gap that kills new wholesalers. Not the lack of knowledge, or it's just friction. The shift in 2026 is having one platform where you can skip trace, it becomes a CRM contact. The call notes, they're automatically attached. And then the contract, it links to the deal. And then the buyer network, it's already inside of PropQuest. That's what PropQuest is. I built it because I was tired of paying for 5 tools that didn't even share the same data. The platform is free to join. Mobile first. If all that you have is a phone, you can already have a whole entire wholesale business just from that phone. Here's the truth about your first wholesale. It's not magic, it's not the gurus, and it's definitely not the course. It's 3 property signals, 3 numbers, and a buyer list that you started building before you even actually needed it. That's the whole game changer. The reason most beginners never actually close their first deal isn't because they don't know enough. It's because they get buried under 5 tools that they have randomly, 3 subscriptions, and a workflow that takes them about an hour, when an actually experienced wholesaler, they'll do it in about 5 to 10 minutes. You don't have to start that way anymore. PropQuest, it's free to join, of course at propquest.ai. No credit card, you get the full access to the marketplace, the property data, and the professional network. That's the most important part. If you only have a phone, that's enough. The whole platform, it runs on mobile. You can be searching for your first property within the first 2 minutes of signing up for. Link is in the description. If this breakdown helped, subscribe so I can keep showing you exactly how the deals actually get done in 2026. I'll see you on the next one.